Then your Sports Central, we go over our next team prediction of this offseason, and it's going to be over the Pitt Panthers, a team that went 9-4 overall in the 2022 season. It was another successful season for Pitt. This team has emerged as a consistent contender the past few years, but now this team being 2023, and what can we expect out of the Panthers looking forward to 2023 is we'll be talking about here today. We'll be analyzing this team and predict their schedule game by game in this video. Let's get started with a quick recap of 2022. Once again, the record was 9-4 for this team, and this team did start out the season with a 4-4 record. So I mean, considering that, this team really was never considered a major contender like they were at points in, say, the 2021 season. But, I mean, this team ended out the season on a 5-game winning streak. So a really strong finish, especially for this team last year. Yeah, but looking at September, they beat West Virginia by a touchdown, lost to Tennessee by a touchdown. This was a disappointing loss in overtime. But considering where Tennessee ended up last season, this really was not that bad of a loss here. They went the next week to Western Michigan, beat them 34-13, took care of Rhode Island, and then lost to Georgia Tech at home. This is a game that Pitt probably shouldn't have lost, but in the end, a close loss here, 26-21. But at least came back the next week, beat Virginia Tech, lost to Louisville by a couple of touchdowns, lost to North Carolina 42-24. So that's where this team ended up at 4-4. And then they went on their 5-game winning streak to finish out the season, which, I mean, this team was hot at the end of the season. Beat Syracuse by 10, beat Virginia on the road 37-7, beat Duke, which Duke last season was an impressive team. Really, I think they surprised a lot of people in how good they were. They eventually got up to 8 wins, so a nice win there for Pitt, and then beat Miami on the road 42-16. To finish out the regular season. And so that sent them to the Sun Bowl to take on UCLA, one of the top teams in the Pac-12, and you beat them as well 37-35. So final record 9-4. This team definitely, I think, was a bit overlooked because of that 4-4 start last season, but this was still a very talented team last year. But let's look forward to 2023 now with your roster preview, and this team will look different. That is for sure here in 2023. Kadon Slovis is transferring out, and of course, he came in from USC. Kadon Slovis is headed to his 3rd school now. He is headed to BYU. Now, that's the way it sounds. That's quite a difference there, going from Pitt to BYU. He's been all over the place, from the Pac-12 to the ACC and now to the Big 12 with BYU. But next up is Phil Jurkovec coming in from Boston College, which he's got some good experience. He never was a big standout at Boston College. He put up some impressive numbers, but he never was a big standout. So we'll see if he can break through here in 2023 and have a good season for the Panthers. But Kadon Slovis overall, I mean, his stat line wasn't terribly impressive. 2,400 yards, 10 touchdowns, 9 picks, 58% completion rate. So, I mean, if you consider the way that he's trended from 2019 to 2022, I mean, 2019, his first season as a starting quarterback with USC, was far and away, I would say, his most impressive season to date. So we'll see. Maybe it's for the better that he's leaving Pitt. But Phil Jurkovec, I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do with a new school in Pitt instead of Boston College. It's definitely going to be different seeing him in blue instead of maroon, but definitely interesting to see how he will do. The backfield, they do lose Israel Abanaconda, who last season had a huge impact on this team, 1,600 yards and 21 touchdowns. So that's a tough loss there. There's no hiding that, but at least you got Rodney Hammond Jr. coming back, who put up just over 500 yards, 5 touchdowns. So looking forward to seeing what he can do, as he will likely be the lead back in this backfield. But offensively, at least the receiving core looks good. Kanata Mumpfield coming back, same with Bub Means. You do lose Jared Wayne, though, who last season was the lead receiver by a decent amount, over 1,000 yards and 5 touchdowns. So once again, this offense definitely will look different. Defensively, you lose a lot of key players as well. 4 on the D-line, 2 linebackers, and 2 in the secondary. So, I mean, there's no hiding it. This is a team that's going to be much more inexperienced in 2023 as they were last season, and even 2021 as well. This is going to be a younger team, and a team that doesn't have that same experience and talent as we have seen. But also this as well. I mean, this is a team that has proven a lot of people wrong over the past few years. Narduzzi's really led this team to some really good success. I mean, with his with his tenure with Pitt so far. He's been around since 2015, and if you exclude the 2017 season, this team has been a consistent contender in the conference. 8+ wins multiple times, got 11 wins in 2021. So this is a team with a lot of upside and a lot of potential, but 2023, there is a chance that it's not quite as good of a season, I think, just because of some of that inexperience. But there's still a lot of potential, I think, for the future of this team. But can they be an ACC contender again? I think so. I think that's definitely within reason, but I don't see this team making a New Year's Six run, say like they did in 2021. But looking at your transfer portal and recruiting now, Keon Slovis, one of the more significant moves, of course, he's off to BYU. We got 2 quarterbacks coming in. Phil Jurkovich coming in from Boston College, and then Christian Velo coming in from Penn State. We'll see which quarterback gets the starting job, but I'd say it's more than likely going to be Jurkovich. He's got more experience, and he's overall the more impressive quarterback from what we've seen. I mean, he's been around in college since 2018. He played with Boston College for 3 seasons, was with Notre Dame before that, so he's been in college ball for 5 years now, and so this will be year number 6. And I mean, with Boston College, he was the primary starter for 3 straight years, and overall was pretty good. He definitely could be better, and we'll see if he can get with his fresh start with Pitt. Maybe he can break through and have a really good season. We'll see what happens. Vincent Davis is off to UNLV. Running back, you bring in then Dejon Reynolds, a receiver from Florida. Expect him to have an immediate impact. You do lose Jaden Bradley off the Charlotte, receiver there. And then you lose edge rusher John Morgan, Arkansas, and then Judson Taliander, defensive back, who's in the transfer portal. So recruiting-wise, I mean, not too bad. 51st in the country, 8th in the ACC. So you're kind of middle of the pack in the ACC, but 51st nationally. Obviously, it could be a little bit better, but for Pitt, not terrible. You got a 4-star coming in, and then 18 3-stars as well. So I do have this team at an 8 out of 10 on the future forecast meter as well. I mean, you consider the success of this team and how they've proven people wrong over the years. I do think the future is great for this team still. I think that 2023 might not be quite on the same level the past 2 seasons have been, but there's still a lot of potential for the future. I do think the future is bright for this team. But with that, let's take a look into the 2023 schedule now. So you got Wofford in week 1 there. So a easy matchup against an FCS opponent there, very winnable. And then you got Cincinnati week 2, which Cincinnati, it's a familiar name. They were in the college football playoff just a couple of years ago, but this is not the same Cincinnati team. That's going to be a much worse Cincinnati team than what we've seen the past couple of years. I think they're going to be very much in a rebuild phase in their first season in the Big 12. So you don't want to sleep on that matchup, but I'm just saying it's definitely a matchup where I'd favor Pitt. And then West Virginia on the road. Then you got North Carolina at home, Virginia Tech on the road, and then Louisville at home after a bye. You got on the road to Wake Forest and then to Notre Dame in back-to-back weeks. And then November, you got Florida State at home, Syracuse in a neutral location. That's going to be at Yankee Stadium. And then you got Boston College at home and then Duke on the road to finish out the regular season. So looking at September here, Wofford, easy win. Cincinnati also an easy win. I think you start the season 2-0 pretty easily. Cincinnati is a better team than Wofford, but I mean, at the same time, I do think Cincinnati is going to be very much in a rebuild phase in 2023. I think they could be decent, but I mean, no more Luke Fickell. He's off to Wisconsin now, and most of their key talent from the past couple of seasons, especially when they were a national contender in 2021, is gone. So Cincinnati, still a team that's got potential, but they're going to be very different in 2023. I think you get the win pretty easily there as well. So a 2-0 start. Then you go to West Virginia, which is a very interesting matchup. It's on the road in prime time, so that's obviously something to keep in mind. And I think West Virginia next season, they're not going to be a great team. I do think it's a winnable game there for Pitt, but on the road, week 3 in prime time, I do want to favor West Virginia there to get a close win. But you come back the next week and you beat a really good North Carolina team. I do think you bounce back here. You got North Carolina at home. You get a nice win here against the Tar Heels. So you're 3-1 heading into your second month. Virginia Tech on the road. You beat them easily. I think Virginia Tech next season is still kind of a mess. So I do want to take you to win that one by a couple of touchdowns. Then Louisville and Wake Forest, both games that could go either way, but I do think you win both. Wake Forest next season will not be the same team. No more Sam Hartman. So Wake Forest maybe falls off a bit. They're also losing a lot of their key talent. Louisville could be decent, but I do think you win that one there. So a couple of nice wins there. And then you go on the road to Notre Dame, and Notre Dame is going to be a tough team. So you play Sam Hartman's former team in Wake Forest there, and then the next week you play Sam Hartman's current team in South Bend. And Notre Dame's going to be a tough team. That's a team that I could see being a national contender once again. They're built to win right now. So I think that's going to be a tough one there. You do lose to Notre Dame. So you're 6-2 heading into November, which if you're 6-2 heading into your last month, you're in pretty good shape, I think. And November is a tough month. Florida State, I do think you drop this one. Florida State could be a true national contender here in 2023. They are back, and they are very much going to be a contender. They are built to win as well. Syracuse, a winnable matchup. I do think this is a close one here, but I'm going to favor Syracuse. I do think they get a nice win there against Pitt in a close one. And it's, I mean, honestly, those last three games with Syracuse, Boston College, and Duke, all three of those are pretty much 50-50 matchups. I have you losing 2 of the 3. I do have you beating Boston College. I think Jerkovich going against his former team in Boston College, I don't think they're going to be too good in 2023. So you get a nice win there. And then you go to Duke, which this is a very interesting matchup that could go either way. Duke last season definitely surprised in how good they were. I mean, most expected them to be a bottom feeder once again, but I mean, Duke is kind of in a similar situation to Kansas in the Big 12. They've got a lot of returning talent and could be even better in 2023 for all we know. So Duke is a tough one here. It could go either way, but I do want to favor the Blue Devils. So I've got 7-5 for Pitt next season, and I'll say this too, I'm pretty confident with the 7-5 record. It's just a matter of what games Pitt wins and loses. I do think you lose 5 games and you win 7. It's just a matter of which ones. I do have 10-2 for the ceiling, so I mean, there's still a lot of potential on this team, and we've seen that this team can surprise, and we've seen that in years past. So definitely don't count out this team. I've got the ceiling still pretty high. The floor is 5-7. That's the worst possible record this team could have in 2023, I think. And I overall really confident they still make it to a bowl game. Maybe not quite as good of a season as we've seen the past couple of years, but if this team can go 7-5, win a bowl game, get 8 wins next season overall, I think that really opens the door to a really strong 2024 season and beyond for this team. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below on Pitt, and I appreciate you guys all watching as always. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. Catch you on the next one.